Most people live lives of quiet frustration, following rules they never chose. But what if I told you that the greatest philosophers in history discovered the path to becoming mentally unbreakable? In this video, we'll uncover the secrets that shaped indestructible minds and how you can apply them today. You were taught to please, not to be yourself. From an early age, we are introduced to a complex social system that imposes norms and expectations. These often invisible rules shape our behavior and identity. They tell us how we should act, think, and even feel in order to be accepted. Whether in childhood, at school, at work, or even within our families, the pressure to fit in is constant and persistent. The pressure to conform, a universal phenomenon no matter where you are. In the world, the need to belong and be accepted is a fundamental human drive. This search for acceptance has deep evolutionary roots. After all, human survival historically depended on social cooperation. But this same need can paradoxically restrict our individual freedom, leading us to suppress essential parts of who we truly are. Imagine a child who loves to draw, sing, or write, but who from a young age hears things like, "That won't make money. That's not serious." Or better focus on something more normal. The underlying message is clear: to be accepted and valued, you must conform to a pre-established standard. This happens to millions of people every day, and most don't even realize the deep impact of this silent pressure. Historical examples of resistance to conformity throughout history. Iconic figures have challenged social expectations to affirm their authenticity, often at a great personal cost. Consider Galileo Galilei, who insisted the earth revolved around the sun and was persecuted by the church for his scientific convictions. Virginia Woolf, who defied social and literary norms of her time to give voice to female and introspective narratives. Martin Luther King Jr., who refused to accept racial segregation and led a movement for social change, despite threats and personal risk. These examples show that awakening to authenticity is often an act of courage, a stand taken in the face of adversity and social rejection. The pressure to conform in the digital age today, conformity takes on new forms. The internet and social media amplify the desire for approval, but also the fear of rejection. The number of likes, followers, and comments has become a kind of social thermometer that directly influences people's self-esteem and sense of identity. It's increasingly common to feel the need to present an edited version of yourself, just to gain approval, hiding doubts, insecurities, and even opposing opinions. This constant quest for external validation can lead to anxiety, depression, and a deep sense of disconnection from oneself. The cost of conformity: erasing yourself. When we prioritize social approval over authenticity, we begin to lose touch with our true selves. Over time, this can lead to a constant feeling of dissatisfaction as we live a life that doesn't truly belong to us. Low self-esteem and insecurity, fueled by fear of judgment, difficulty making decisions aligned with our values, a sense of emptiness and disconnection, even when we seem successful to others. How to awaken your authenticity? The first step in breaking this cycle is becoming aware of the pressure and recognizing how it shows up in your own life. Next, it's essential to cultivate the courage to listen to the inner voice that longs to be heard, the one asking whether the life you're living is really yours, or just a reflection of others' expectations. Reflections to begin your awakening. What social norms have you followed without ever questioning them? When have you felt like you were performing rather than truly living? What would your life look like if you acted in complete alignment with your values and desires? Practical exercise. The Authenticity Journal to deepen your connection with your true self. Try this daily practice. Find a quiet moment, free from distractions, to write about your day's experiences and feelings. Ask yourself, today, when did I act to please others rather than myself? Write down any feelings or thoughts you suppressed to avoid conflict or judgment. Note ideas for how you could act differently next time, in a way that aligns more closely with your truth. This journal acts as a mirror for your soul, helping you uncover unconscious patterns and strengthen your authentic presence. From a young age, we are taught that being kind, agreeable, and avoiding conflict are virtuous traits that help us gain acceptance. Indeed, kindness and cooperation are essential for social harmony. However, when the pursuit of external approval becomes more important than honesty and personal integrity, we begin to pay a high price. The trap of conditional kindness. How many times have you stayed silent just to avoid an argument, or held back a genuine opinion for fear of judgment? This kind of behavior often stems from what we might call conditional kindness, the tendency to suppress our true feelings in order to maintain superficial peace. While this form of niceness may make social interactions easier, in the short term, it gradually erodes our authenticity and sense of identity. When we overvalue others' approval, we give up the courage it takes to be true to ourselves. The emotional and social impact of seeking approval, constantly chasing validation from others, can lead to social anxiety, fear of disappointing or being rejected by others, fragile self-esteem, dependence on external feedback to feel worthy, loss of personal voice, difficulty expressing true opinions and desires, inner conflict, feeling like you're living a life that isn't really yours. Key reflections do. You often worry about what others think of you. Have you ever changed your actions or opinions just to avoid criticism or rejection? What part of your truth are you hiding in order to be accepted? Real-life examples: people who stand out for their courage and authenticity often face criticism and rejection, yet over time, that honesty tends to earn deep respect and stronger, more meaningful relationships. Think of social activists, inspiring leaders, or even close friends you admire. Many of them had to face the fear of judgment in order to stand up for what they believed in. Practical exercise. Radical honesty with yourself. Choose a recent situation where you felt you weren't entirely honest out of fear of others' reactions. Write down the reasons that led you to act that way. Reflect on how you could have responded with more courage while still being respectful and kind. Plan a small action to practice honesty in your daily life, like expressing an opinion in conversation or saying no when needed. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor of the 2nd century, was not only a powerful leader but also one of the greatest Stoic philosophers in history. His book Meditations is a collection of personal reflections on life, emotional control, and inner discipline. Though written centuries ago, his insights remain remarkably relevant, offering practical tools to build mental strength and resilience in the face of adversity. The historical context of Marcus Aurelius amidst wars, political crises, and personal struggles. Marcus Aurelius sought to cultivate a firm character and a peaceful mind. He understood that while he couldn't control external events, he had complete power over his internal responses. This perspective lies at the heart of Stoicism, the belief that true freedom comes from mastering one's own thoughts and actions. The discipline of thought for Marcus Aurelius. Mental discipline wasn't an abstract virtue, it was a daily practice, he encouraged, preparing for the day's challenges by anticipating difficulties and committing to remain calm, reflecting on your own actions and motives, learning from mistakes and reinforcing your core values, guarding your thoughts, rejecting useless worries, and focusing only on what's within your control. The power of self-control taught that self-control is the highest form of strength. By mastering the mind, we prevent ourselves from being ruled by fleeting emotions like anger, fear, or anxiety. This doesn't mean denying emotions, it means recognizing them without letting them dominate us. Exercises to develop mental discipline. Morning visualization. Before starting your day, take a few minutes to imagine potential challenges and mentally rehearse how to stay calm and act with virtue. Reflection journal. At the end of the day, write about your actions, noting what was done with integrity and where you can improve. Thought management. Whenever you notice a negative or unproductive thought, practice redirecting it toward something constructive or toward acceptance of what you cannot change. Amor, Fati, and the Philosophy of Fate. Nietzsche's embrace of life. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most influential philosophers of the 19th century, proposed a radical view of life and suffering. For him, it's not enough to merely endure adversity. We must love our fate, or Amor Fati, an active and affirmative love for everything that happens, including pain, failures, and uncertainties. What is Amor Fati? Unlike passive resignation, Amor Fati is an enthusiastic celebration of whatever life brings us. Nietzsche invites us to accept both good and bad events as the raw materials with which we sculpt our character and define our path. This philosophy challenges us to stop fighting the inevitable and instead dance with difficulties, finding purpose and meaning within them. Real life examples of Amor Fati. Imogen, an athlete who suffers a severe injury. Instead of being defeated, they use the adversity to reinvent themselves, perhaps becoming a coach or mentor, transforming pain into learning and growth. Or think of people who faced significant losses but found unexpected strength to move forward and help others. Practical applications of Amor Fati. Reinterpret failures. See mistakes and failures as opportunities to learn and grow, not as dead ends. Embrace the present. Accept every moment, even the difficult ones, as an essential part of your journey. Cultivate resilience. Use adversity to strengthen your spirit and expand your ability to overcome future challenges. Practical exercise. The Amor Fati journal. At the end of each day, write about a challenge or difficulty you faced. Reflect on what this experience might be teaching you. Note how you can use this lesson to grow and transform your life. Review these notes weekly to reinforce your Amor Fati mindset. Self-confidence and authenticity. The teachings of Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson was one of the great thinkers of individualism in the 19th century, whose ideas about self-reliance continued to influence the pursuit of authenticity and personal independence. What did Emerson mean by Emerson challenges each individual to deeply trust their own inner voice, rather than seek approval from others or blindly follow social conventions. For him, there is a divine voice within each of us, an intuition that guides us toward our true purpose, personal integrity, as a foundation for Emerson. Self-confidence is not arrogance, but a firm commitment to personal integrity, living aligned with your values, even when it goes against the majority opinion. This requires courage to be different and remain true to yourself, even if it means facing loneliness or judgment. The value of authenticity in the modern era in a world saturated with external opinions, digital influences, and social pressures. Authenticity is a revolutionary act. Emerson reminds us that each person has a unique contribution to make, and that the path to a meaningful life lies in radical self-acceptance. Exercises to cultivate self-confidence, active listening to your inner voice. Dedicate moments to meditate, and reflect on your genuine intuitions and desires. Challenge conformity. Identify situations where you tend to follow the group without question, and practice expressing your authentic opinion. Celebrate your uniqueness. List your unique qualities and talents, reinforcing the idea that your worth does not depend on comparison with others. Marcus Aurelius and the Art of Mental Discipline. Marcus Aurelius, 121–188 D., the last of Rome's 5 good emperors, is perhaps the most emblematic example of Stoicism in action. Ruling a vast empire, he faced wars, plagues, and internal betrayals. Yet his meditations reveal a man deeply devoted to self-discipline, self-control, and the constant practice of virtue. Historical context: Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations while on the battlefield, far from the comforts of the imperial palace. His reflections were not meant for an audience, but for himself, an intimate journal of self-improvement and resilience. What makes his work so relevant today is the universality of the challenges we face: stress, loss, injustice, and how he invites us to confront them with dignity and calmness. Fundamental principles of mental discipline. Distinguish what depends on us from what does not. He insists we should only expend energy on what is within our control, our thoughts, judgments, and actions. We should not be disturbed by things beyond our control, such as others' opinions or external events. Daily preparation. Marcus Aurelius advises starting the day by mentally anticipating difficulties that may arise, preparing to respond with patience, calm, and justice. Nightly reflection. Before sleep, he recommends reviewing one's actions, identifying mistakes, and reaffirming commitment to personal values. Powerful quotes, examples: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Detailed exercises. Negative visualization. Spend 5 minutes daily imagining difficult scenarios, job loss, unfair criticism, health problems, and mentally plan how you would maintain calm and virtue in these situations. This reduces the emotional impact if these situations occur. Virtue journal. Write daily about a virtuous action you performed, reflecting on how this attitude strengthens your character. Additional reflection. For Marcus Aurelius's discipline is not repression but a form of inner freedom. By mastering the mind, we are freed from the slavery of uncontrolled passions and fleeting impulses. This allows us to act always in accordance with reason and virtue, even under pressure. Expanded Seneca and the transformation of adversity into inner strength. Lucius Aeneas. Seneca, 04 BC, 265 AD, was a Stoic philosopher, playwright, and advisor to Emperor Nero. His view on adversity not only shaped Stoic philosophy but also offers valuable lessons for building a resilient and invaluable character. Historical context. Seneca lived in turbulent times, marked by political intrigue, exile, and eventual execution. Despite these challenges, he maintained a philosophical stance of serenity and courage, writing letters and essays that continue to inspire. Adversity as a tool for growth. Seneca sees suffering and difficulties not as punishments or obstacles, but as forgers of character. Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. For him, every difficulty offers a chance to practice virtues such as courage, patience, and perseverance. Strategies to embrace adversity. Change of perspective. Instead of fleeing or resisting hardships, we should welcome them as opportunities for growth. Voluntary challenge. Deliberately practicing small difficulties. Fasting, public speaking, intense physical exercise strengthens the spirit, preparing it for greater trials. Active reflection. In moments of crisis, pause to assess which virtues can be exercised and how the situation can be used for learning. Practical examples. Seneca encouraged practicing emotional detachment, not suppressing feelings, but recognizing and transforming difficult emotions. He emphasized the value of the mind as a safe refuge, which can remain inviolable even when the external world is chaotic. Exercises to strengthen resilience. Adversity journal. Write down challenges faced, how you responded, and how you might improve your reaction in future situations. Calm reflection. Practice. When facing a problem, take a deep breath, emotionally detach, and list possible solutions based on your values. Final reflection. Seneca teaches us that adversity should not be feared, but embraced with courage. Each challenge is an opportunity to polish our character and move closer to the best version of ourselves. Ralph Waldo Emerson and the Power of Self-Confidence. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882, was an essayist, poet, and leader of the American Transcendentalist movement. His philosophy emphasizes the importance of self-confidence, personal integrity, and authenticity as pillars of a strong and invaluable character. Historical context: living during a period of great social and cultural transformations in the United States, Emerson challenged the rigid conventions of his time and promoted individualism as the path to true freedom and fulfillment. Self-Reliance, the call to self-confidence. Sign his most famous essay, Self-Reliance. Emerson calls individuals to trust their own inner voice and reject social pressure to conform. He sees authenticity as a revolutionary act. Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Central principles of Emersonian self-confidence. Value personal intuition. Emerson believes everyone has an inner voice or divine spirit, guiding them to their true life purpose. Personal integrity above all. Be true to yourself, even if it means facing isolation or social misunderstanding. Embrace uniqueness. Each individual has unique gifts and perspectives that cannot be replicated. Character strength comes from recognizing and cultivating this singularity. Practical applications. Independent decisions. Make choices based on what you believe, not on what others expect. Courage to be different. Stand up for your ideas and values, even when unpopular. Accept constructive solitude. Understand that personal growth may require periods of isolation and reflection. Exercises to develop self-confidence, inner voice. Journal. Regularly write down your most genuine thoughts without filter or self-censorship. Authenticity. Challenge. Choose a situation where you would normally avoid expressing your true opinion and consciously do so. Additional reflection. Emerson reminds us that self-confidence is not arrogance, but a deep knowledge and respect for oneself. It arises from self-awareness and the courage to live aligned with your truth. Friedrich Nietzsche and Amor Fati. The transformative power of radical acceptance. Who was Friedrich Nietzsche? Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844 to 1900, was a revolutionary German philosopher, known for questioning traditional values, challenging conventional morality, and exploring the depths of human existence. His thought is marked by a fierce critique of mediocrity, conformity, and passivity, advocating instead for a life of radical affirmation and self-transformation. Nietzsche was not merely an abstract thinker. His own life was marked by intense personal struggles and a relentless search for meaning, which gives his writings an urgent and visceral character. The concept of Amor Fati. Amor Fati literally means love of fate. It is a philosophy of radical, yet active acceptance, the enthusiastic celebration of everything that happens in life, including suffering, failures, and challenges. Nietzsche writes, "My love of fate, I do not want merely to bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it." This idea is an invitation to transform suffering and obstacles into fuel for growth and the creation of the self. Amor Fati, as a daily practice, accepting the inevitable, rather than resisting what we cannot change. We welcome these experiences as essential parts of our journey, celebrating the totality of existence, recognizing that every event, good or bad, is vital to shaping our character and destiny, turning pain into power, using suffering not to victimize ourselves, but to strengthen our will and resilience. Practical examples of Amor Fati when facing personal loss. Instead of giving in to despair, reflect on how the experience might open new perspectives and lessons. At work, view a failure not as defeat, but as an opportunity to learn, innovate, and grow. In relationships, accept imperfections, both your own and others, as part of life's natural rhythm. Exercises to cultivate Amor Fati. Fate journal. Write down daily challenges, and next to each how you might love them or learn from them. Acceptance. Visualization. Meditate by visualizing a difficult situation you're facing and imagine yourself embracing it with courage and serenity. Philosophical reflection. Amor Fati is the highest expression of inner freedom. It's not about changing the outer world but changing our attitude toward it. It is the force that allows us to dance with life, even when the music feels harsh or chaotic. Contemporary impact today. This philosophy can be a powerful tool against stress, anxiety, and the feeling of losing control. It is an invitation to live with purpose, courage, and deep serenity. Who is Marcus Aurelius? Marcus Aurelius, 121 to 180 AD, was a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, known as one of the 5 good emperors. His reign was marked by political turmoil, wars, and personal challenges, yet he remained steadfast in the practice of Stoic philosophy, recording his reflections in the book Meditations, which remains one of the most influential works on self-mastery, ethics, and resilience. Marcus Aurelius is a living example of someone who cultivated inner strength amid the most intense external pressures. Stoicism is a philosophical school founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium. It emphasizes reason, virtue, and self-control as the paths to true freedom and happiness. For the Stoics, we cannot control external events, but we have complete authority over how we respond to them. The philosophy teaches that a strong character is born from mental discipline and the consistent practice of values like justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom. The book Meditations is Marcus's personal journal, where he recorded thoughts, reminders, and teachings for himself. It is a masterpiece of self-knowledge and discipline, in which he exhorts himself to remain calm, fair, and steady, even in adversity. Some of his most powerful quotes: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Happiness depends on ourselves. Don't waste time debating what a good man should be. B1. Stoic Principles for Building Unshakable Character. 1. Discipline of thought. Marcus teaches that disciplined thinking is the foundation of inner strength. Controlling our perceptions and judgments is essential for maintaining serenity. 2. Acceptance of impermanence. Everything is transient. Wealth, power, life, even our emotions. Accepting this truth helps us avoid being ruled by fear or attachment. 3. Radical responsibility. Taking full responsibility for our actions and choices, regardless of external circumstances. 4. Virtue as the supreme goal. Virtue, living with justice, courage, temperance, and wisdom, is the only true good and the source of lasting happiness. Practical examples of Stoicism in daily life. When facing criticism, instead of reacting impulsively, practice reflection and respond with calm and fairness. When an unexpected problem arises, focus on what is within your control, your actions and attitudes. Cultivate daily habits of self-control, such as meditation, physical exercise, and reviewing your own behavior. Exercises to strengthen Stoic mental discipline. Morning preparation. Upon waking, mentally prepare for the challenges you may face, and commit to responding with calm and virtue. Evening review. Before bed, reflect on your actions during the day. Acknowledge your successes and learn from your mistakes. Control differentiation. Make daily lists separating what you can control from what you cannot, and focus your energy on the former. Reflection on the synergy between thought and action. Marcus Aurelius emphasizes that unshakable character arises when disciplined thought and virtuous action walk side by side, reinforcing one another. Legacy and modern relevance in a fast-paced and often chaotic world. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius offer a path of balance, resilience, and inner focus, essential for developing a strong and unwavering who was Lucius Seneca. Lucius Anaios Seneca 4b, che, minus 65 bukan diafragma, de, was a Stoic philosopher, Roman statesman, and playwright. Known for his practical wisdom, he wrote letters and essays exploring themes such as morality, virtue, and how to face the hardships of life. Seneca lived during a turbulent period in Roman history and faced many personal challenges and controversies, giving his philosophy a deeply personal and experiential tone. The Stoic view of adversity, according to Seneca. For Seneca, adversity is not a punishment or misfortune to be avoided at all costs. On the contrary, it is a precious opportunity for growth and inner strengthening. He wrote, "Fire tests gold, as suffering tests brave men." This metaphor highlights the idea that true character is forged in difficulty, not ease. Changing the relationship with adversity. Seneca proposes a shift in how we perceive the obstacles we encounter, challenges as allies. Rather than seeing adversity as the enemy, we should view it as a teacher and ally that strengthens us. Resilience as a trainable skill. Just like an athlete trains the body, we must train the spirit to endure hardship. Active confrontation. Instead of fleeing discomfort, we must face it with courage, treating it as a laboratory for virtue. Practical strategies recommended by Seneca. Voluntary discomfort. Intentionally place yourself in challenging situations, such as public speaking, intense physical exercise, or difficult debates to strengthen your mind and spirit for future adversity. Deep reflection in times of struggle. Rather than reacting impulsively during hard times, pause and ask, what virtues can I practice right now? What lesson can I draw from this situation? How can I act in alignment with my deepest values? Learning from history and ancient wisdom. Study historical figures who overcame great adversity and use their examples as a source of inspiration and guidance. Real life. Practical examples. An entrepreneur who faces business failure can use adversity to evaluate mistakes, adjust strategy, and come back stronger. Someone experiencing illness or loss can discover inner strength and a renewed sense of purpose. A person facing criticism or rejection can cultivate self-confidence and emotional control by applying Seneca's reflective methods. Exposure practice. Choose one uncomfortable situation to face deliberately each week, such as having a difficult conversation, trying a challenging new activity, or entering an unfamiliar social environment. Adversity journal. Write about recent challenges, your responses, and what you've learned. Identify virtues you practiced and areas where you can grow. Historical case study. Research a historical figure who overcame significant adversity, and reflect on how you can adopt elements of their attitude and behavior. Seneca reminds us that adversity is a furnace that purifies and strengthens us. He invites us to welcome difficulties with courage and wisdom, recognizing that true freedom and strength come from internal mastery, not external conditions. Implications for modern life in times of uncertainty and rapid change. Seneca's philosophy serves as an anchor, offering timeless strategies to face life's storms with dignity and courage. Who was Ralph Waldo Emerson? Ralph Waldo Emerson was born in 1803 in Boston and became one of the most influential figures of the Transcendentalist movement in the United States during the 19th century. His life was marked by a relentless search for inner truth, intellectual freedom, and personal authenticity. Emerson was not just a writer, but also a speaker and philosopher who deeply shaped American culture and modern Western thought. His personal journey includes moments of deep sorrow, such as the premature death of his wife and mother, which led him to intense reflection on life, death, and purpose. These personal experiences overflowed into his writings and speeches, which still echo today as a call for each individual to discover and follow their own inner voice. Resisting social pressures and external expectations. The context of the Transcendentalist movement. Transcendentalism emerged as a reaction against materialism, religious formalism, and social conformity that dominated 19th century America. Emerson and his contemporaries believed in the innate capacity of human beings to connect directly with nature, the divine, and most importantly, with themselves. They preached the importance of intuition and personal experience as paths to knowledge and wisdom. This philosophical movement emphasized that truth and moral value are not inherited from society or tradition, but individually discovered. Thus, Emerson became a symbol of the struggle for authenticity in a world that tends to favor conformity. The Essence of Self-Reliance, published in 1841. The essay Self-Reliance is perhaps Emerson's most famous work, and it's a powerful manifesto that challenges readers to trust themselves, value their own voice, and act with integrity regardless of social consequences. He opens with a clear call: trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. That iron string symbolizes the strength and resilience that arise from genuine self-confidence. Emerson harshly criticizes imitation and the pursuit of external approval. Imitation is suicide. He states that trying to be someone else, or blindly following the crowd, is a betrayal of one's soul. The pillars of self-detail. According to Emerson's inner voice and intuition, Emerson believed that within each person exists a divine voice that guides them to their authentic purpose. Ignoring that voice leads to a fragmented and unsatisfying life. He urges us to listen to that voice above the world's noise. Personal integrity and courage. Integrity does not mean rigidly following external rules, but acting in alignment with what one truly believes to be right and just. This may mean facing criticism, isolation, or even rejection. Uniqueness and authenticity. Each individual possesses unique gifts and perspectives that cannot be replicated. Emerson exalts originality as a source of strength and fulfillment. Selected quotes and their deeper meaning: do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. This symbolizes the courage to blaze new trails and the rejection of conformity. Self-trust is the first secret of success. Here, Emerson connects self-reliance directly to only material success, but existential fulfillment. A man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone. This reflection highlights the importance of inner contentment over external possessions. Profound practical applications to embody self-reliance in life. Emerson suggests: exercise independent thinking, question popular ideas and majority opinions, in search of your own truth. Embrace vulnerability, accept that authenticity may lead to rejection, but also to real growth. Value solitude, use periods of isolation to connect with your essence and strengthen your inner voice. Detailed exercises to develop self-reliance. Inner voice journal, spend 15 minutes daily writing your most sincere thoughts, doubts, fears, and aspirations without censorship. This helps identify and strengthen your unique voice. Authenticity challenge. Choose social or professional situations where you would normally hide your true opinion and begin expressing it consciously, starting with small steps. Reflective meditation. Practice meditation, focused on listening to your inner voice, observing thoughts without judgment and recognizing what is authentically yours. Inspiring stories connected to Emersonian thought. Henry David Thoreau, Emerson's friend and follower, exemplified self-reliance by retreating to a cabin by Walden Pond, living deliberately and writing about simplicity and independence. Steve Jobs, often cited as a modern example of self-confidence and originality, resonated deeply with Emerson's idea of following one's own path and challenging conventions. Final reflections on Emerson. Emerson calls us to a life of integrity and courage. He challenges us not to trade authenticity for the comfort of social approval. At its core, he reminds us that the path to a priceless character begins with trusting ourselves, a journey that never ends, but is worth every step. After deeply exploring the ideas of Nietzsche, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Emerson, it's essential to translate these philosophies into the dynamic and complex reality of the 21st century. How can we build an invaluable character in the midst of technology, social media, societal pressures, and global challenges? The modern context, we live in an era of fast information, constant distractions, and conflicting demands. The accelerated pace can undermine deep reflection, mental discipline, and ethical commitment, all pillars in the construction of character. Moreover, the culture of approval and online validation often reinforces the pursuit of external acceptance at the expense of authenticity, something we addressed earlier in this journey. Reviving ancient wisdom. For today, applying ancient philosophy is not a matter of simple repetition, but of creative adaptation to our context. Here are some practical ways to do that. Digital monitor how social media and technology affect your mood, self-esteem, and focus. Develop conscious habits such as offline time for reflection and self-care. Adaptive discipline. Create daily routines that cultivate mental and physical discipline through meditation, exercise, journaling, and the practice of Stoic exercises to control thoughts and emotions. Active acceptance. Practice Amor, Fati in the face of modern uncertainties, rapid changes, environmental crises, economic instability. Finding in these challenges opportunities for growth and innovation. Ethical courage. Maintain integrity and authenticity even in competitive and sometimes toxic professional and social environments. This means acting according to personal values, resisting group pressure, and cultivating genuine relationships. A self-reliance community. Build support networks that encourage autonomy, authenticity, and mutual growth, echoing Emerson's vision of a community formed by strong, true individuals. Contemporary examples of invaluable character: leaders who act with transparency and responsibility, even under pressure. Artists and creators who stay true to their unique vision despite commercial trends. Ordinary people who face adversity with resilience and compassion. The authenticity journey. Take time to question daily decisions and actions. Am I acting in alignment with my values? The resilience journal. Record your challenges and how you responded to them, identifying opportunities for learning and growth. The conscious support circle. Create or strengthen a group of people who inspire your commitment to integrity and personal development. Building an invaluable character in the 21st century is a continuous challenge, but also a unique opportunity to be a beacon of strength, authenticity, and hope for yourself and for the world around you. As we come to the end of this profound journey through the philosophies of Nietzsche, Emerson, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and so many others, one truth becomes clear: to become invaluable is much more than achieving external success or social recognition. It is an inner transformation, a continuous commitment to authenticity, courage, discipline, and resilience. An invaluable character is one that stands firm amid life's storms, that embraces challenges as opportunities for growth, that learns to hear its inner voice above the external noise. It is a being who, despite the pressure to conform, chooses to stay true to themselves. This path is not easy. It requires constant reflection, courage to face one's own shadows, and the willingness to learn from great thinkers and from personal experience. But it is precisely in this commitment that true power lies, the silent strength that turns ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. So today, I invite you to take the first step. Begin to cultivate your inner power. Look within, question your beliefs, embrace your difficulties with Amor Fati, trust your unique voice, and build your daily discipline. Remember, every challenge, every fall, every moment of doubt is an opportunity to forge your character, to become invaluable. Be the strength you seek in the world. Be the voice that inspires change. Be the protagonist of your own story. The journey to becoming invaluable begins now. Are you ready to walk this path?